how your favorite apps, social media, your banking app, how they magically keep track of all your information? Well, the secret is this really powerful language called SQL. It's kind of the universal language for data, and today we're going to pull back the curtain and learn the 4 core commands that make it all tick.
So, to make this easy, let's just imagine we have this simple school roster, right? We've got 6 students, their roll numbers, names, grades, you get the idea. It looks really straightforward on the screen, but how does a computer actually build this list, read from it, and keep it all organized? That is the exact problem SQL was built to solve.
First things first, you can't store information if you don't have a place to put it. So let's kick things off with the C in our toolkit, create. This is all about building our digital filing cabinet from the ground up.
Now, creating data is pretty much always a 2-part deal. Think of it like this. First, you have to build an empty shelf. That's our container. Then, and only after that's done, can you actually start putting books, or in our case, student records, onto that shelf.
And this is step 1, building that container. This command, create table, is literally telling the database, hey, make me a new table and call it school. And all this stuff inside the parentheses, that's basically us drawing the column headers on a blank spreadsheet. We're setting up a spot for a roll number, a spot for a name, and so on. The structure is now officially built. Okay, on to step 2, filling that container. Using the insert into command, we start adding the actual student info, 1 row at a time. Each little block in parentheses is a new student, and the data inside has to match the columns we just created perfectly.
All right, so our data is tucked away safely in the database. But information isn't really useful if you can't look at it, right? So now we've got to be able to read it.
So that's the big question, isn't it? We've done all the work to create the table and insert the information. How do we ask the database to just show it to us?
Well, it's actually way simpler than you might think. This little command right here, select everything from school, is basically our magic show me everything button. Select is the word for reading data, the little star, the asterisk, means all the columns, and from school just tells it which table we want to look at. And boom, there's our result. With that one simple line, the database just instantly hands us back the complete, perfectly organized table we built. All our students, all their details, right there for us to see. That's the power of reading data.
But here's the thing, what happens when things change? People make typos, information gets old, data is almost never set in stone. And that's where our third operation, update, comes into play. We need a way to make changes and fix things.
To show you this, let's switch gears for just a second. Take a look at this really simple employee table. We've got a column for name and a column for city. Pretty standard stuff, right?
But let's say we decide, you know what, city isn't really the best name for that column. We'd rather call it place. Well, we can run a command just like this one to tell the database, hey, go find the city column in the employee table and just rename it to place.
And after running that command, the table structure itself is instantly modified. See? The column is now called place. So we can update not just the data in the table, but the table structure too.
And that brings us to our final core operation, delete. Sometimes information just isn't needed anymore. An old account, a canceled order, or maybe a student who's left the school. We need a clean way to get rid of that data.
So let's jump back to our student roster one last time. We just got word that Clyde, that's roll number 104, has transferred to a different school. His record doesn't need to be in our active roster anymore.
To take care of this, we use the delete command. Now this is super important. We have to be specific. That where part is absolutely critical. It tells the database to only delete the row where the roll number is exactly 104. If you forget that part, you might accidentally delete the entire table.
And just like that, poof, we run the command and Clyde's record is gone. Our table now gives us a perfect snapshot of the current student body, with just 5 students left.
So let's just take a quick step back and look at what we've just covered. We've just walked through an incredibly powerful, but also really simple set of tools for working with data. These 4 actions, create, read, update, and delete, are so essential, they actually have a famous acronym, CRUD. This CRUD cycle is the absolute foundation for how pretty much any modern app manages information. It's simple, it's universal, and it's powerful. So why does any of this matter to you? Because every single day, you are triggering these commands without even knowing it. When you write a post, you're creating. When you scroll through your feed, you're reading. Edit your profile, that's an update. And of course, when you delete a photo, you are deleting.
So there you have it. You now understand the 4 fundamental actions that power almost every single piece of software you use. They are the simple, elegant, and powerful building blocks of our digital world. The only question left is, now that you know the